For this practice exercise 15.7 is pairwise sorted, we're going to write a method called isPairwiseSorted, and it's going to return whether or not a list of integers is pairwise sorted. True if it is, false if not. We're given an example here that explains this super well. So if we have a pair of values like 3 and 8, 2 and 5, 19, 24, and so on and so forth, that's what we're going to be comparing. You can see that like this. And this one is going to return true because the successive pairs of the list are all sorted. This one's going to return false. As you can see right here, 19 and 17 are not in sorted order. We have some more conditions down here, but we're going to just easily be able to code this and fulfill everything we need to with a few lines of code actually. So we can assume that this class exists. We want to code in this class. We're going to be manipulating these, we're not manipulating, we're going to actually be just using these private variables. So we can't have our method be static since these variables are not static. It's going to be a public. We want to return a boolean, so we're going to be public boolean. We want to call it isPairwiseSorted. We take no parameters and we're just going to be inside of here. We want to check to see if the successive pairs are in order. We want to basically run through this entire thing. And whenever we want to go through an entire list, you kind of use a loop, right? We want to use a for loop here because we're dealing with indexes. So we can say int a is equal to 1. Why 1, not 0? Well, if you looked at the other conditions here, if it's an odd value, we're not going to be comparing the last one to anything. So I just thought we can run through this, right? Comparing this one and then grab this other one and this one and this other one, and basically we're going to run until we get to this last value because we have to run it less than the size. Remember, size is a little bit different than index because index starts at 0, size starts at 1. So if we run this a is less than size, we're not going to look at this last one here. I'm going to have a++, and we're going to be inside of this for loop. You might be asking me, well, okay, then how do we get this first one? Well, simple. If our element data, which is our list, we want to get the index of 0 initially, right? And a starts at 1, well, all we need to do is a minus 1. And for this entire for loop, that's going to give us the previous value. So if a is equal to 3 and a going through this for loop, it's going to be 2 in here, right? Because 3 minus 1 is 2. Simple. So element data a minus 1, and then we want this to be, let's say, greater than our element data at a. And if it is greater than, that means it's not in sorted order, right? Because that means the previous one is bigger than our current one. So we're just going to return false. If we never return false, we're going to want to eventually return true because that means everything is sorted. Now there's one thing that is off with this. So notice how I said a is equal to 1 right here. We're going to compare this and this together, right? Now the next time this runs, a is going to be equal to 2. Well, then we're going to compare this and this. But that is not a pairwise, right? These two are pairs and these are pairs. So what we need to do is instead of just incrementing a, we need to move it up by 2 places. So we're going to do a plus equals to 2. That means after this one right here, and we compare these two, a is going to now be 3. So we're going to have 0, 1, 2, 3. It's going to start at 5, and we'll compare 5 and 2. So that's how that would work. We have an issue because I always forget semicolons. And now that we have that done, let's run it, submit it, and see if we can pass those tests. If you have any questions, as always, leave them in the description below. If you want more practices, they're in the description below the like button.